Hi everyone and welcome to Germany for Student channel. Today is lesson number 34 of A2 level of German language course, and today we are going to cover the topic of Nebensätze mit wenn. We will see the sentence structure with the help of examples. Nebensätze mit wenn is the topic that we have already covered in lesson number 28, but the difference is that in lesson number 28, we put the Nebensatz where we use when conjugation at the second position. In today's lesson, we will use when conjugation or the Nebensatz with when conjugation at the first position, and we will use the Hauptsatz at the second position. There will be change in the sentence structure in today's lesson as compared to the lesson number 28. Therefore, it is important to understand that if we want to put Nebensätze with when at the first position in the sentence, then how does the sentence structure look like and how can we make the sentences? Now, let's start with example. Ich bin krank. I am ill. And then we have another sentence, Ich lege mich ins Bett. Ich bin krank is Nebensatz in this sentence, and Hauptsatz is Ich lege mich ins Bett. Now, the sentence structure of Nebensatz, when we try to combine these two sentences, Nebensatz and Hauptsatz, but we put the Nebensatz at the first position and then comes the Hauptsatz. If we look at the sentence structure, it will be we will start Nebensatz with when conjugation. We will put subject at the second position, then comes object. In place of object, it can be a preposition, it can be an adjective, etc. And the verb will come at the last position of the sentence. Then we will put a comma and will give a space, and we will start the Hauptsatz. In Hauptsatz, we will start the sentence with verb. At second position, we will use subject of Hauptsatz, and at third position, the object will come. Place of object, there can be adjective, preposition, etc. So if we follow this sentence structure for the two examples that we have above, then it will look like wenn ich krank bin, lege ich mich ins Bett. So if we look at this sentence structure, we have started the sentence with a Nebensatz with when. Then at second position, I have used subject of sentence, which is ich. Then comes the verb of sentence, which is sein, but it is conjugated according to subject of sentence. So sein becomes bin for the subject ich. Wenn ich krank bin, then we put a comma and give a space and then start the Hauptsatz with verb. Now we have to conjugate this verb according to the subject of Hauptsatz. Now it means that the verb will come first and subject will come at second position. Subject is ich, so legen will become lege for the subject ich, mich ins Bett. Ins is the short form of in thus, and Bett is a um, neuter noun for which the article is thus. Wenn ich krank bin, lege ich mich ins Bett. Now there are two verbs that are coming one after the other. First verb will be conjugated according to the subject of Nebensatz. Second verb will be conjugated according to the subject of Hauptsatz. Let's take another example. Es ist heiß. It's warm. Wir gehen ins Schwimmbad. We go to the swimming pool. Now, if we want to combine these two sentences with the help of wenn, it will be wenn es heiß ist, gehen wir ins Schwimmbad. Again, when is the starting point, then comes as, heiß, and then comes the verb of the sentence at the last position of Nebensatz. And verb again here is sein, but for as subject, the conjugation of sein is ist. We put comma and give a space, then we start the Hauptsatz. Hauptsatz will start with the verb, which is gehen in this case, and the subject of Hauptsatz is wir. So for subject wir, gehen remains gehen. Ins is again short form of in das, and Schwimmbad means swimming pool. Another example, der Student erreicht 50 Punkte. The student achieves 50 points. Er besteht die Prüfung. He passes the exam. Again, if we want to combine these two sentences, it will become, wenn der Student 50 Punkte erreicht, besteht die Prüfung. If the student achieves 50 points, he passes the exam. So we have started it with when, then comes subject, der Student. 50 Punkte is the additional information here in this sentence. Erreicht, erreichen is a German verb which means to achieve, and for der Student, erreichen becomes erreicht. Then we put a comma and give a space, and we start the Hauptsatz. Hauptsatz start with the verb which has to be conjugated according to the subject that comes at the second position. So we must know in advance what is the subject of Hauptsatz so that we can use the conjugated verb at the first position. For bestehen becomes besteht, and die Prüfung is the object of sentence. Die Prüfung means the exam. Let's take at some other varieties of sentences, like if we have modal verb in the Hauptsatz, then how will this sentence structure change? In this case, we have to put modal verb at the first position and we have to conjugate it according to the subject of the Hauptsatz, and the main verb will come at the last position of the sentence, and this verb will be in the infinitive form, because we know that whenever we use modal verb, the main verb remains in infinitive form. So let's apply this rule on the example sentence. The example sentence is, wenn das Fenster geschlossen ist. If the window is closed, kann ich nicht schlafen. I cannot sleep. When the window is closed, I cannot sleep. Wenn das Fenster geschlossen ist, it is following the same sentence structure. Now let's look at the Hauptsatz sentence structure, which uses a modal verb. So we have used modal verb at the first position, then comes subject at the second position, then comes nicht, and schlafen is the main verb that comes at the last position of the sentence. Kann ich nicht schlafen? Another example, wenn Paul studiert, darf im Studentenheim wohnen. If Paul studies, he is allowed to live in a student hostel. When Paul studiert, if Paul studies, which means if he's a student, and the Hauptsatz starts with modal verb dürfen, but for subject we have to use the conjugation of dürfen and it becomes darf. Im is the short form of in dem Studentenheim, and then wohnen is the verb that comes at the last position of the sentence in infinitive form. Now let's bring some more variation in the sentences. Wenn du einen Termin beim Amt hast, musst du pünktlich sein. If you have an appointment with an administrative office, you must be on time. Now we have started the sentence with when. At second position, we have used subject, which is du. Einen Termin. Termin is masculine noun. So for masculine noun, here the object, we have to use the indefinite article from Accusative case for a masculine noun termine, which is einen beim Amt, with an administrative office, with city office, etc. Hast, now we have used haben verb here at the last position of the sentence, and according to the subject do, it becomes hast. Then comma and a space, and then we start the Hauptsatz with modal verbs where the subject is do. So for do, we have to use the conjugation of müssen, which becomes musst for the subject do. Punktlich and sein is the main verb of the sentence that comes at the last position in infinitive form. Wenn du etwas nicht verstanden hast, if you have not understood something, musst du sofort nachfragen. You must ask immediately. Now, in this sentence, in the Nebensatz, we have used participe zwei form or the perfect form of the verb because it is in the perfect tense. And if it is in the perfect tense, then we have to use the participe zwei form. And participe zwei form will come at the second last position, and the sein or haben verb will come at the last position of Nebensatz. So for subject do, we have used conjugation of haben at the last position of the Nebensatz, which is hast. Then we put a comma and we start the Hauptsatz with modal verb müssen. And for do, it becomes musst, sofort, nachfragen. Nachfragen is a separable verb, but here it will come at the last position of the sentence in infinitive form. Wenn man kochen will, braucht man Wasser. When one wants to cook, one needs water. Now here in this sentence we have used modal verb in the Nebensatz. So if this is the case, then when will be at the first position, at second position we will use subject. Subject is man, and then comes the main verb which will be in the infinitive form because we are using modal verb, and modal verb will come at the last position of the Nebensatz, and it will be conjugated according to the subject of Nebensatz. So wollen becomes will for man, subject, and kochen remains kochen. In the second sentence, which is the Hauptsatz, we haven't used any modal verb. If we do not have any modal verb, then the main verb will come at the first position, and it will be conjugated according to the subject that comes at the second position. So man is the subject and brauchen becomes braucht for the subject man. Another example, wenn man da oben steht, kann man sehr weit sehen. If one stand up there, one can see very far. So here again, we are starting Nebensatz with when, and we have put subject at the second position, which is man, da oben, up there. Stehen is verb which is conjugated according to subject man, and it becomes steht. Then we put comma and a space and start the Hauptsatz with a modal verb where the subject is man at second position. For man, we have to conjugate modal verb and put it at the first position. So modal verb können becomes kann. Sehr weit and sehen is the main verb of the sentence which comes at the last position of the sentence in infinitive form. So this is how we can use Nebensätze mit wenn. If we use when at the first position of the sentence, then the sentence structure will become different as compared to lesson number 28. I hope this is clear to you now. If you have any questions, put them in the comment, and see you in the next video. Bye.